Hello everyone. Today we are here to welcome the charismatic, inspiring, iconic, the Anu Aggarwal. I'm so excited to have you on board, Anuji. This week, from 5th
Yeah,
to 11th February, is Children's Mental Health Week, run by Place to Be, which is a national charity in UK. Also has a royal patronage. And Dropledge and Maxwell have come together on this venture, which we are also supported by an international organization called Ishkama. And now we have the Anu Agarwal Foundation also supporting this cause. So for children's mental health, great. So before we start on Anuji, can we have you introduce yourself?
my introductions are in so many different fields. Like I just introduced myself as Dr. Anu Agarwal, the neuroscientist doctor and the naturopathy doctor yesterday on a whole research we have gone on for cancer. Now today we are talking about yoga, so I will introduce myself as the yogi. Everyone knows it's me as actor, etc., and model and supermodel and all that. I don't need to talk about that. But what I do need to talk about, and I'm so grateful that yoga came to me very early on in life, and it has really shaped my life and actually saved me from dying. I went through a near death experience. And I have literally today what I am, I'm sitting here. I am so grateful to yoga. And for children, well, that's where it has to start, and that's what
So
my whole thing is now. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
thank you so much for sharing that. So currently we are going through a
Mhm.
children mental health crisis. I think post-COVID, this crisis has gone up. And I'm just going to read out some current statistics that have come out. I've just read by the place to be. It says 1 in 5 children have mental health issues that continue to have problems in their adulthood. And 50% of people, adults who have mental health issues, they probably started at the age of 14. So it's a grave concern. And just as I was looking at these statistics, I looked at the Indian statistics by the National Crime Records Bureau. Nearly 35 students died by suicide in the year 2021. Now, these figures are absolutely alarming. So, I really would welcome you to give us some insights on how yoga and meditation can help children to self-regulate, to to think about their mental wellness. So, can you please share some insights with us?
Yeah, sure, of course. I think that what is really interesting, as you rightly said, and these numbers are growing, and therefore the concern is growing as well. The other thing is that, luckily for us, the entire issue of mental health has come to the forefront, and a hell of a lot of work is being done the world over on mental health, children's mental health to begin with. Secondly, the thing is that if when you say mental health, we need to understand there's some understandings we need to do, there's some awareness we need to cultivate, and there are certain awakenings that need to happen in us about our own power, our own reality, and our own inner well-being. Now, what I have seen, children are amazing receptors because their minds are free. They are not corrupted by, as you age, the kind of, you know, uh, the experiences, the bad experiences, and, you get hurt, you lose, you're this. And, those experiences are stored in our brain. So what happens is that brain is a machine. We are a machine, actually. We think that we are this. Oh wow, we are. I'm this name and I'm this nationality. I'm this, but we are basically powerhouses of energy. And children feel that powerhouse of energy between the age group. Interestingly, between the age group of 1 to 7,
Excellent.
undeterred. Okay. Now, where I'm coming from, I have had the privilege again to live and actually study the ancient Indian science, the Vedic yoga. Did you know that the Vedic yoga was actually a part of our Indian tradition for children?
Oh,
At the age of 8 or 9 in a household, it was a ritual. A child was initiated into learning this blessing of yoga, and it was a set of three. The whole program was 1, 2, 3, which basically worked on his physical health, his mental health, and his behavioral health, apart from developing his psychological health. So this was the basis, and there were simple exercises for children. So where there was mudras, which is basically hand gestures, you have asana, and there's pranayam. Yeah, and there was mantra. Because mantra, again, as we know in the Vedic science, has come to us through the ancient rishis who heard these sounds in nature in deep meditation. So this is what the children were taught in India, in ancient India, Vedic science of yoga at the age of 8 or 9. Now, what happens here? Now, let me just tell you exactly what is happening with a child at this age physically. What happens is that between the age group 7 to 12 is the most dicey and the most difficult time for a child's physicality and emotionality and mentality. What happens is that there is a gland called the pineal gland, which is actually the Agya chakra. It is there in the center of your forehead. This gland is responsible to control your all the problems that could occur in your emotional or mental behavior. This starts to degenerate biologically at the age of 7. It starts to get locked up. It's a tiny little pin little gland at the back of your eyebrows, in the center of your eyebrows. And it starts to degenerate. It starts to get locked up. At the same time, what is happening? The physical growth of children has started. It's booming. So the hormonal balance has changed in their lives, in their bodies. They are getting sexual hormones, which have started to speed up. They have got physical changes that are happening. And on the other hand, emotionally, they are distraught. They don't know what is happening to them. Also, socially, they don't feel that they can talk to people about it because we do not have literally an open society. How many children, we need to teach children about their sexuality before it starts. So they know it and they take it normally and they know what to do with it. So the thing is that all these changes that are happening, physiological and the emotional changes, these the yogis of yesteryear found an answer. The suicide rates of the girls between the age group of 12 to 14 are the highest in India in the world. So what happens? What is happening? Because all these changes are happening in their bodies and they are not being able to understand what's going on, they're trying to repress it. They can't talk about it, they can't expose it, and they can't handle it. So it finds other circuits and maybe and they blame somebody else or blame a certain situation and they maybe even kill themselves. The worst case of case, right? But the yogis found that this is interesting. What they found that actually speaking is all about creating a balance of the mind. Because if our brain can remain balanced through these changes that are happening, right? And also, on the same hand, this pineal gland that is getting degenerated, if we can't really regenerate it, but we keep it running. How
So
do
it's
we?
like what
And
we don't use, we lose.
exactly. So, and what we have, so let us, and they found these certain basic practices to create the balance between the physical changes that are happening in the boys and girls
Hmm.
and the mental changes that are happening, you know. And so that is what the basis of yoga for children's mental health
Thank you
starts
so
from
much for
here.
sharing. That's really, really valuable insight. Now, if we break down simply, what would we think? First of all, at what age you advise parents to start yoga with children? At what age you think they can actually start?
That is an interesting one, what you asked. Because let me tell you, did you know that a child's brain, by the time a child is 5 years old, his brain is 90% physically, mentally grown.
Hmm.
So we have to start early. Even earlier than that, a child is in the womb.
Okay.
So there is a whole study which we have in our Vedas. I have a yogi friend who's written a book on it in Hindi.
Hmm.
Garbh Sanskar. Garbh. Garbh is the womb. Sanskar, the tendencies that develop on a child when he's in the mother's womb.
Hmm.
One of the things when in about so and it's really interesting. It's like it's literally it's so my God. It's so like it's the first 1 month what happens to the child. For instance, the nails of a child will grow in the third month. What all how the body of this child, of the spirit, which is the spirit that has entered the womb, how it starts to assume the form of a child. When in the third or the fourth month, it starts to become emotionally aware of what is happening with the mother outside.
Hmm.
So, if the mother is going through emotional upheaval, it directly affects the child's brain.
Hmm.
And that's why they say in the olden days in India, they say, play nice music for
Hmm.
pregnant women. Because the major reason for that was because the child is hearing that music
Yes.
and it helps his brain. They've even tried in Germany, they played on a pregnant woman, 4 months pregnant. They inserted this tube in her uterus and played Beethoven
Uh-huh.
because they have understood that it makes a difference to the child, whatever is happening with the parents, with the mother especially. So the child is now in the womb, and then when the child comes out, the first 3 years, 1, 2, 3, are supposed to be the he's just getting used to the environment at that time. From the third year is when his he starts to evaluate. It happens in the third year, and he starts to have. Did you know that cognition starts on the around the same age as well? The cognitive abilities of a child. So from a long story, because I could go on. There's so many stats.
So, what I'm getting from you, Anuji, here is that if we want children to grow up as mentally healthy children, it has to start from the womb. So,
Right.
parents, look after yourself to look after your child. That's
Exactly.
what it in reality is what you're saying, according to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And the thing is that we are not knowledgeable about this, you know? So I think that this is where, even in education, right? So, the WFEF has given me the education chair.
Yes.
Now, that's one of the things I want to do. I want to bring it with the little children in story form, in play form. I'm an actor, right? And role playing is amazing for children. You can teach children so much and they can learn so much about themselves. Plus, they become confident and they find their voice.
Hmm.
So there's so much education that can happen through play, through
So
art.
can they do meditation and yoga through play?
They can definitely know. So this can happen, but then so meditation has another role altogether. So
Uh-huh.
what happens is that also, when children go through certain bad times, like somebody's, father or mother shouts at him or slaps him, or they're extremely sensitive at that age. What happens is that that goes, I mean, he may cry and he'll become okay after some time or whatever. But that experience takes root in his brain, and which then later on, as he grows up, it affects his adult life. We've heard that a lot of things started when we were children, right? There are girls who have come up with, how they were abused, sexually abused when they were children. There are people, and of course the boys don't come up with a lot of stuff because boys don't really talk, which is where they need to really be looked after as well, apart from just the girls. So the thing is this, that we need to educate the children. So a part of the entire curriculum as it is running, you have mathematics, biology, history, and everything that is there. There has to be a little class, however small or tiny class to start with, which teaches them about their body and mind, the functionings of their body, how it really is. So I think that. Secondly, I think that in the entire world, there's so much work happening right now. There's research happening on this topic. I feel that we should amalgamate. We should get together and share the knowledge with each other, so we can then share better knowledge to the children.
So you're saying that the science of today combines with the yogic knowledge from thousands of years ago.
Yeah,
And when children used to go to gurukuls and learn all
yeah,
those things, to to put them together, to converge them together for their children's mental makeup and bring
correct.
them up beautifully and nurturing them. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. So, just in the last question, Anuji, I would like to request you to give us some parents and ask some simple things that we can do with our children to sort of nurture them along the way. And like you're saying, we start really early. Can they do anything like sitting down or and another very beautiful thing that you said that the children learn by seeing. So, what can parents do to role model in terms of the yoga or meditation so that then children copy them?
So, the first thing is that children are born free. And first of all, the parents need to recognize that, because, the children start to, they start to, like, mold their
You want to
children.
rope
This
them
is
in.
rope them in. This is right. This is wrong. The social do's and don'ts, etc. So that in any case they are learning, and children, they learn from experience. When they get knocked out, they will learn. Everybody learns. So I think teaching is one thing, but learning from your mistake, the bad effects that a mistake brought, realizing that really is a mistake and I don't want this effect. So they will learn. Parents have to, after us, get a little bit out of the way of the children, because there are enough quotes, which from around the world, which psychology, behavioral scientists, psychologists have said, and they just said that these are dizzying personalities that children have. But we start to curb it. We start saying, hey, listen, this isn't good. This is not. You should become a doctor or you should become this. The child may want to be an artist. So the parents need to start listening to their children. Second thing is, when there is a misbehaving child, that happens everywhere. Now, let's say he throws tantrums. He's throwing a lot of tantrums and he's not. So parents don't know what the hell happened, right? So they start to say, oh, okay, they think that it's a problem. But maybe it is his revolt to something that is happening and he's not liking. This is where psychoanalysts come in.
So he is communicating something to the
He's
parents. And what,
communicating, but the
yeah,
parents cannot understand.
yeah.
So the psychoanalyst can come in and find out what the problem is. So parents could take some help. Also, the parents, no matter how much they understand the children, they have a bias, right? So they need somebody from outside, and who better than a psychoanalyst to come and see why the child is creating that problem. And it can be sorted out. The second thing is there are hormones, hormonal problems in the body could actually cause certain behavioral problems in a child. So, did you know that, like the adrenal secretion, did you know that when that is excessive, fear arises in that child? Now,
Hmm.
what happens? I'll give you a small example. Fear arises in a child. Now, what happens? At school, there's a teacher who's really strict, who shouts a lot. This child suddenly doesn't want to go to that class because it raises fear in him, it arouses fear in him. He may want to like stay home and not go to school. Now, parents are thinking that your child is, bunking school,
Hmm.
right? And take it as a bad thing that is happening. He needs to be like conditioned, he needs to be taught that this is not. But the thing is that the child is facing a problem. Children face a lot of problems. The adults are not realizing or understanding them.
So if
So,
we equip the children with actually the vocabulary of all these feelings, so maybe
yeah.
they don't have to communicate by showing their behavior. They can actually communicate with the words that we have taught them because maybe they don't know those words, what they have to say.
So, right. So, this is where again yoga comes in. So, what yoga is doing, what it is doing, it is basically balancing even your hormones. When your mind starts to get balanced, each and every fabric of your body starts to get balanced. So, you may just have to teach this child. So, for instance, I'll give you a simple practice. I hope a lot of children are watching this, or parents are watching this, you know, and which can be done by anybody. Now, this is okay. So this is your
I will do it
eyebrows.
as well. Yeah. So what are we doing?
So this is your eyebrows. Now I'm just
Yeah.
showing this to you. This is your eyebrows.
Yeah.
In the center here of your
Yeah.
eyebrows, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Now, if you just keep your attention over there,
Yeah.
okay, there is. So now you know where it is. Now, if you do, it's a mudra. It's a gesture, yoga gesture.
Yeah.
So what do? No, you just you keep it here so that you can keep the focus
Yeah.
and put your eyes down,
Yeah.
okay, and raise them and look like completely at the center where the pencil center is.
Yeah.
Try and look there, right?
Mm.
Look for and count 10, okay? Don't blink your eyes, just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then close your eyes for the same count. Relax your eyes, close them for 10 counts. Again, open, do it for 10 counts. Again, the same thing. Close your eyes, relax them, 10, count 10, and keep breathing. Because sometimes one just like, okay, I'm doing this. No,
I
no,
had forgotten to
relax.
breathe. I was so much concentrating on.
That's why yoga is needed. That's why you need yoga, right?
Okay.
So this practice actually regulates your pineal gland, which we all need to regulate. So this is a simple practice.
And this is
Then
a
a
very
deep.
fun thing to do. We can make the
It's a
child
very fun
do
thing.
this
So
very
exactly.
easily.
So exactly. So what I do is like I get like different symbols, and put the different symbols and put them up and down. Ask them to remember the colors and even in meditation, one of the things that we do is we have a lot of, like, let's say 40 or 50 different symbols, different objects. So, for instance, and nice objects, which are also very positive for the mind, like a pink flower or a yellow lotus or
So
blue,
you're
a
actually telling
river.
them to visualize it, or you're actually
You
giving it to
visualize,
them?
you visualize.
Okay.
So visualization is fantastic for children in their
Okay.
growth, the learning pattern. So
Hmm.
like this, there is a whole. So that's what I developed Anufan Yoga on. So all it's got a lot of this stuff, and I mean, it's impossible for me to talk about all of it right now. So we have to we things that children learn through fun things. That's why I called it fun yoga.
Right.
They have to have fun. They have to enjoy doing what they're doing. But at the same time, it has to work at their subconscious and unconscious levels.
Right.
We need to reach the level which is beyond what you see. This is your conscious level.
Hmm.
So to get your inside a person, inside a child's mind, awaken his positive qualities that are already there, which will then help him in studying, in visualizing what he's studying,
Hmm.
in the way he thinks, in his memory. So there are practices for increasing memory. I have worked on myself. I had lost all my memory with my near death experience. I was a child again, which is why I can relate so much to. I have grown back up from being a child through non formal education, yoga. Yoga I had learned before then and took sannyas, and I learned more after
Beautiful.
the accident. So yes, and that's how my foundation then came about, which was basically AAF. And AAF, people think is Anu Agarwal Foundation. No, it is awake, aware, fit. Because for me, fitness is of the mind first, and then you can of course go to the gym. And I'm a sports person, and I'm into all that kind of fitness. I've always been, but the mind, you need to be fit here. You have to, which is your emotional, your behavioral, all these things are all stored in the mind. The way you relate with people, the way you make the choices you make, you know. Like you keep telling your children, hey, सही सही उसको वो गलत है उसको उसको नहीं लेना अच्छा लेना. You keep telling your children, hang out with good friends, good company, keep good company. That boy is a bad boy. No, you don't want. So what is all this? So the children should be able to know this themselves.
To
And
make
there
the
is the
distinction themselves.
make the distinction themselves and make those choices.
Mm. Yeah.
So this is what I'm just so my heart is in this. I mean, I
Thank
love it.
you. It's been so interesting talking to you. And what I'm like, my takeaway from this is that we need to equip the children, make them so mentally healthy that they can see right from wrong, they can self regulate themselves, they can really look, introspect, and look within themselves.
Yes,
So, if they can do that, maybe the parents won't even have to tell them that you're wrong here, do this differently.
exactly,
They can self analyze, introspect everything. And that will be such a beautiful skill to have for children all through their up until they're adults.
exactly,
So
exactly.
start early is your thing. And I'm really excited to know about Anufan Yoga. And
Yeah,
maybe we
sure.
could
Next
do
time,
a session where you could practically show us how to have fun, because this
totally.
exercise, I'm thinking I don't even need to make a child sit down anywhere. I can do while I'm driving, I'm in the park with him, and
Exactly,
it's like so much fun.
exactly,
So we are
exactly.
looking for Anufan.
Amazing. Let's do it. Let's do it. And this
Okay.
is an amazing practice too, this because it regulates your right and your left hemispheres,
Okay, what are we doing
So
here
this is
then?
your right and your left. And if you when you and you have to like properly hold the hands together
Yeah.
and relax the hands, right? Relax them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is such an amazing gesture, even it's also a humble gesture to even say hello to someone.
Yes.
So and also at the same time, what it's doing is regulating your entire body mechanism, you know. Plus, it's making you look like you're the humblest thing in the world, which you may not be, but but it's a good practice, amazing practice. I do this all the time. Namaste.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for such valuable insights and knowledge.
Thanks a lot.
I'm overwhelmed and I'm really excited to have you. And we look for more
Thank
sessions
you.
like
Lovely.
this. Thank you.
Great.